Hello and welcome back to Trumpet's Voice, where God has the final word. We're going back to another discussion series here, and this is going to be talking about Christmas. Should Christians celebrate Christmas, or is Christmas Christian? And we're going to be talking about we're going to be doing 3 different sections here. And the first one we're going to be talking about is the pagan roots of Christmas and how it infiltrated Christianity. And then the second section we're going to do was Jesus born on December 25th? Because there's a lot of debate about that, and a lot of people say that it's about the time that Jesus was born. And then the last part we're going to be covering is does our Christian liberty permit us to celebrate a pagan holiday? So we figured out before we do this, we're going to be playing a bunch of clips that are going to be coming up in the video, and just to show you some examples and stuff that we're going to teach you. And we just wanted to give a little disclaimer to show that a lot of these sources that we got from the information we have is we verified it ourselves, but we would just want to say that not all the information from all these sources, if you see them on YouTube and stuff, we don't endorse it or support it, because some of them may have false teaching. So we just want you to use your own discernment when you're doing your own personal study and stuff in it. So make sure that you know what they're saying is actually scriptural, right? But before we get into the rest of this here, Steve just wanted to start off with telling some your own personal life experience, right? About how you actually did celebrate Christmas and stuff. So we weren't. I never did celebrate Christmas, but I know that you said you actually started out with thinking it was totally normal and fine and stuff. So
that's right.
You want to take it away?
Yeah. So, I'm going to put myself out there, I guess. We're going to show a couple of pictures of my family here at Christmas time, just to show you that we were doing it and we come out.
There we go.
This one here is I had a company, a business, and this was the Santa Claus parade. So I would use the parade as advertising, and of course it happened every time at Christmas time, and I didn't know any better. I just was going along with the flow, right? So yeah, and that was one of my workers there in the Grinch contest in costume.
There, yeah. Okay, here's the next image you got.
Yeah.
Oh, you're all dressed up in your Christmas hat, and
we're cutting trees down.
Yeah, the trees ready, eh?
Yeah. We're at the tree farm, and we're going to cut down a tree there. Yeah. And of course, that's us in front of the tree, and all the presents are underneath the tree, and
we're kneeling down to the Christmas tree.
Well, I'm sitting, but the other two are kneeling down, and and whenever I got the presents out, I would kneel down and grab them from out underneath the tree and start passing them out.
Yeah,
right?
And this is just to show that we're not coming at this at like looking down on people who celebrate it. Right. We're coming from experience that God pulled us out of this, and it's just basically just to show them that if we can come out and see the deceptions that are in this, other people can.
Yeah, so we figured it's important to just create some common ground and stuff, and to show people like, hey, we're not coming at you judgmentally here. We're just showing you that you've discovered something that you didn't know before, that made you change the way you were thinking, right?
Yeah, well, when I started doing my research, which I'm going to show you how that started to happen, God convicted my heart. Mm-hmm. And the Holy Spirit really did just show me. And when it happened, we didn't even give our Christmas stuff away. We bagged it up and threw it in the dumpster, make sure that nobody could get it. It was all smashed and broken up, and made sure that nobody else could get it either. Right? Because we were very, very convicted that this was wrong.
Mm-hmm. Right.
So,
and I remember you said that as you were studying, there was one key thing that was like the clincher that made you actually finally go down this road, and you said it was in Revelation, right?
Yeah, that was. But before I get into that one there, I just want to give a personal testimony of how people see us as Christians. Okay, I was at this job, and this fella was my foreman at the time, and it was around Christmas time that I was there, and he was talking, and he knew that I was a Christian because I told everybody at my job. They knew I was a Christian.
Right. Yeah,
I
made it clear.
I made it very clear, right? So he came up to me one day and he said, "You Christians are all alike. You guys are the dumbest people I know." And I go, "What are you talking about?" He says, "You know what? I know what I'm worshiping at Christmas time.
Right.
But you Christians, you worship the same God that I worship at Christmas time, and you call yourself a Christian." He says, "You guys are pathetic."
Right.
But a good thing happened from that, because I was able to talk to him about the Christmas holiday, of what it really is, and the pagan roots. And I knew what he knew. And I says, I don't do it.
Right.
And he had respect on me because he says, oh, really? And later on, I was able to communicate with him and stuff. And as far as I know, he did accept Christ. His family was Christians, but his family was treating him very poorly as Christians.
Right.
And he had disregard for Christianity.
Right.
But I was able to turn that around because I wasn't celebrating it. And I knew what I was celebrating and what I wasn't celebrating. And he had respect for that. So that was a good testimony.
Yeah, and we're going to be tying into that a little bit later, showing when we get into discussing about how, can maybe stumble people and stuff, right? So by you not doing that, you created an opportunity, opened a door for the chance to witness to him and to be able to connect with him.
So remember that testimony when we read some scriptures later on.
Which will be in part
But for now, I'm just going to go into a little bit about how I personally, first of all, came out, and then my family came out with me because God showed them the same thing.
Right.
So what ended up happening was one day I was at the table and I was reading my Bible and I was reading Revelation because Revelation was always my favorite book because I really was intrigued by it to see what it was actually about.
Right.
And I was reading Revelation and I was looking at Revelation 2:6.
Okay, I'll bring that up on the screen. We can read that right now.
But this thou hast that thou hatest the deeds of the Nicolaitans, which also I hate. Mm-hmm. Okay, so when I read that, I'm like, Nicolaitans, what? And God hates it. I don't even know what it is. So how could I know if I'm doing it or not in case I'm doing something wrong, in case God hates it and I'm doing it?
Right.
So that took me down the path, right?
Right.
But then there's also another one. If you go to Revelation 14:15.
Revelation chapter 2.
Chapter 2, sorry.
Yeah, 2 and 14 and 15.
Yeah, chapter 2, 14.
Here we go.
But I have a few things against thee, because thou hast there them that hold the doctrine of Balaam, who taught Balak to cast a stumbling block before the children of Israel to eat things sacrificed unto idols and to commit fornication. So hast thou also them that hold the doctrine of the Nicolaitans, which thing I hate.
Right.
Okay, so when I read that, it started taking me down the journey road of the Nicolaitans to find out who the Nicolaitans were or what they were teaching, and am I doing it?
Right.
So that's what kicked the can, started going down the road. So God really started to open my eyes to do some research. Got the ball rolling, right?
And you might even want to look too into the Balak and Balaam and the story of that, right? Because basically, some people say it's Balaam or Balaam, but he was saying to the king, he was saying the way you can get the God's people of Israel was to curse them, was to get them to do something wrong against their own God. So he got women to go dance naked in front of them and make them get like temptation and stuff, and then they ended up accepting these ways of the foreigners, and that's what made God's fury come after them, right? So you can read that example as well too, right?
That's right. That's right. And so I started going down that road. So let's look at a couple of things just to show you what the doctrine of Nicolaitans are. So let's just look at what it says here.
Nicolaitan doctrine was teaching that allowed for the compromise of Christian beliefs with pagan practices, promoting unrestrained indulgence and arguing that it was acceptable to eat food sacrificed to idols and to engage in sexual immorality. So this doctrine described in the book of Revelation as being deeply opposed to Christ because it corrupted God's grace into a license for sin.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, I think the main point there was like the compromise to have Christian beliefs and pagan beliefs.
Right.
So it's the mixture of the two.
Right.
And that goes along with like the lukewarm church, that you're neither cold nor hot.
Yeah.
So Jesus is going to spit us out of his mouth.
Right. And so this started pushing me down this road to look into the idolatry and the paganism of Christmas, which we're going to discuss tonight.
Right.
About this, and I started to see that I was actually worshiping the same idols, the same God, the same way that the other people were doing that didn't believe, right? And so that's what convicted my heart and said, this is wrong. I can't do this anymore. And my family, they also were in on it, and and they dumped the Christmas tree real quick too, and we became one again in our family.
Oh, and also on that the Nicolaitans thing there, what we'll do is we had a bunch of research I did. I found one page that's got just tons of information on Nicolaus and the Nicolaitans, and there's also some people who debate about who this Nick was of the Nicolaitans and who the origin was and who that came from, and some there's a speculation on both sides of where the origins are. But what I'll do is I'll link in the description underneath. Probably won't be on YouTube because you have to go through a bunch of hoops to be able to do that. So we'll just go on our own website. So if you're on YouTube, just go to our website and I'll have the links all there beside the description of it. But if you want to do a further research into the Nicolaitans and stuff, we've got like a whole bunch. So I'll be able to just include those links. So you can go look them up for yourself.
Yeah,
right?
and you can also do your own research and start looking into it and finding out what it's actually all about as well.
Right.
Yeah. Right. I want to just mention that there is one. There's more than one scripture, but I'll just bring one scripture up, which is 1 Corinthians 8:10, and this is Paul fighting against the doctrine of Nicolaitans teaching here.
For if any man see thee which has knowledge sit at meat in an idol's temple, shall not the conscience of him which is weak be emboldened to eat those things which are offered to idols?
You see, they were teaching them that they could eat things sacrificed to idols and still worship Jesus.
Right. Mm-hmm.
Okay, and this is Paul obviously addressing this problem in the church, right?
Right.
Yeah. Yes, and this is what the thing that God hates is having a mixture of both, having your feet in two different places.
Right. And the reason obviously we're bringing this up is because we've found, generally speaking, Christians, when they say that they celebrate Christmas, the reasoning that comes to them is going, well, that's not what it means to me.
Mm.
Yes.
So that's the reason that we're really approaching it, and we're going to try break that down, and hopefully by the end of this, and you see all these scriptural examples and everything too, is that that's not how God views it, is that the two, if it has any, even smacks of it, of the idea of this pagan connection or whatever, God will see that and he'll relate it to it, and right?
Yes.
So the two are combined, right?
Yeah, and most Christians, they vaguely know, because the information's out there, that pagan Christmas has pagan roots,
right?
And so they do have that in their back
of their mind.
Yeah. So they've justified it,
right.
And by knowing that it's pagan and still doing it, we are partaking in that doctrines and the deeds of the Nicolaitans, which God hates.
Right.
And God says to us, that we do it His way, not our way.
Right.
And I know I hear a lot of people always say that, oh, but when I do it, Jesus is in my heart.
Yeah.
Right.
But doesn't it say that our faith is followed by our deeds?
Yes.
Right.
Yeah, and this doctrine of the Nicolaitans, like, it was like a small sect of Christianity, but it expanded because of a certain emperor, Roman emperor, that kind of like expanded it and made it basically worldwide.
Right.
And this is why it's well accepted now, and nobody, like very few people, question it.
Yeah, and that man was Constantine.
Yes.
Right.
And this guy is celebrated in Christian circles as the man who was the first Roman emperor to legalize Christianity.
Right.
But in reality, it was actually Satan's sinister plan to come from the back and infiltrate from within.
Up to that point in time, Christians were being like thrown into the Colosseums and being eaten by lions and like murdered, and they had to go like hide behind the scenes with their their beliefs and stuff, and so it was basically a complete about face what he did is he made it so it's like it's okay and legal to be a Christian now, and it's not only that, you made it like the religion of the empire.
Yeah, the state religion. Yes.
Right. Which was to be done through penalty.
Yes.
Okay, you weren't allowed to do it on any old day you wanted anymore, right? You had, and if you got caught, you were imprisoned or you were fined, or sometimes even unto death. It depends, right? So it wasn't that it was voluntary. It was more of a forced application because he wanted to unify the country and the people into singular holidays.
Yeah, because like when he took power, it was just right after like a massive civil war.
Right.
Like it was divided into 4 like parts.
Right.
And he won all the battles and he became
was trying to bring the empire together, and everyone's just all fighting. So we've done a lot of research on this, and a lot of people think that he's like the father of the Roman Catholic Church and how it all became mainstream, and I totally agree with that. But they say that he had a vision of a cross.
Yes.
And Eusebius wrote about it, but if you actually do some research and start to look into it, you find out that we're pretty much positive now that he was not actually the Christian that he was made out to be. He just used it as a means to an end because he saw, well, if you can't beat him, join him. He's like, well, we're killing all these people and stuff, but why don't we just... He's just twisted a few things and he's kind of squished everything together. He brought all the pagan beliefs and everything. Yes. And he just squashed it all in there. And he says, okay, you're allowed to be Christians now. But he also made a bunch of, like, if you look into and do your research, he made a lot of like creeds, and they had to have oaths and stuff. These things they'd have to sign or agree to. And if you didn't, you were like a heretic or whatever. Like, and so he made, like, they had all these councils of Nicaea and all these different councils, the Council of Constantinople, and he did a whole bunch of different ones. And then they basically created and formed, like, over like the centuries, they ended up coming up with all these different doctrines, and there's a lot of false doctrines that have come from that.
Yes.
But he supposedly saw like a cross and a vision, and that's what. But if you look in, there's actually I'll show you a
documentary that
a documentary.
Yeah, I just want to add when you're bringing that up there.
Okay.
I just wanted to add also that the Catholic Church, if you do your research on it, okay, they killed many Christians.
Yes.
Okay, they had the Crusades, and they had and they had the
Spanish
Inquisition.
Yeah.
And there's other forms of sects that they actually invented that are still in the Middle East, which you can do your own research on that, to kill the Christians.
Right.
They want to kill the Christians physically and spiritually.
Right.
Right.
Yeah, and so what we've found from our research is that the Roman Catholic Church is very much not who they profess to be and who they're acting like, and based on all their history and what they've been doing, they're showing themselves not to be aligned with God's word, but they're introducing a lot of these pagan origins, and we're going to get into that a little bit later about like showing with like the birth date of Christ and everything like that. But here, I'll bring up this thing on Brave here. There's one little documentary you can check out. It's on YouTube, and it's the Deception of Constantine, and it's very informative. It's about 44 minutes. And it basically talks about what we were just saying. He's showing how Constantine came in, and he took over and went through the battle and supposedly saw the cross. And they basically show
from his triumphal arch.
Yeah, from this big arch. They're saying that that's not what happened because there's not a sign of a cross on it anywhere. And the way he glorified himself and everything that he believed, there's no evidence in the historical record showing that had any influence on him at all.
Yes.
And then also, if you go here, I'll go back up here and then show in Wikipedia. If you want to just go read up on him here, see the statue that is there? That's actually really huge. He made it, and basically, and the same within that documentary, he talks about how he viewed himself as like a god. So if you want to go do some research and stuff on there, he actually was very like self-worshiping. He thought a lot of himself. Yeah. So, you have to ask yourself as a Christian, if God were to come to someone in a vision and use them and to represent him, would he use a person who goes and makes himself look like they're a god and an emperor and gets everyone to worship him and stuff? And even in that documentary, they showed a lot about like the false gods and how he made the arch, the way that it pointed, the way that the light shined through it was from the sun god and stuff, right?
Yes.
Which ties a lot into like the stuff we'll be talking into the origins too,
West,
right?
Yeah. Or the East.
Yeah, and what we also got to realize is like the Roman Empire that he ruled, it covered like a vast expanse of land, right?
Yeah.
And so these lands had like all these different kind of cultures and traditions. And what he basically did, because like if he just forced Christianity on all these things, he would have had a rebellion once again.
Yeah.
And so basically, in order to maintain peace, what he basically did was he just put a Christian label or a stamp.
It's pretty genius, actually.
Yeah. On these pagan holidays and just relabeled them with Christian names.
Right.
And so these pagans that were celebrating these traditions and doing these traditions, they're like, oh, there's no problem. I just need to just change the name. It's okay.
Yeah, it's a way of going like, yeah, you're still allowed to do this. We just have to slightly alter it, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
And so again, this is the doctrines of Nicolaitans being broadcasted into the whole known world at that time.
Right. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And
they would pretty sneaky.
They would take the statues of Zeus and Apollo and Jupiter and Semiramis and Tammuz, and they just bring them into the church and say, okay, now for you still are celebrating Zeus, but you're celebrating Jesus.
And this is Simon Peter and all this stuff. Saint this, saint that.
Yeah.
So they basically just relabeled everything and painted it up, and it's like picture like just a statue there of like Baphomet or Satan, and then just putting like some clothes on it and maybe some glasses on it and
that's right.
disguising it. Oh, there you go. There's your God there now, right?
That's right.
Which is crazy. Well, even what's even crazier than that is with the Roman Catholic Church and Christianity is like the scriptures are very clear on having idols or anything, right? So here they are still using idols, and that's another big thing about the Roman Catholic Church is they use that a lot for like imagery, right? Like
maybe one day my wife can come in and give her testimony. She was a Catholic when I met her, right?
Yeah.
But the other thing too is that what's really surprising is that people like Tyndale and other martyrs like him bring us the Bible because the Catholic Church was repressing the Bible.
Right.
As a matter of fact, unto death, you weren't allowed to read it. And if you did read it, you had to read it in Latin only.
Right.
Okay? So they were suppressing God's word so that people like Tyndale and other people came in and they started writing the Bible that they had access to.
Right. Trying to get it out to the masses.
Trying to get it out to the masses. And they did finally accomplish that goal.
Right.
Right. And now we have the word of God in our hands since the 1600s, when the printing press was thing. Okay. And you'd think that because we had the word of God, we wouldn't be doing this still.
Yeah. Yeah. You figure people would be reading it. But what's funny is that so many of our videos and everything, we're just going, make sure you read and study your own scriptures. We're just saying that like over and over again.
Yeah, we're almost sounding like a broken record.
Broken record. Yeah. But it's amazing how like all these things like this, well, as we will point out later on in the scriptural part of this, that how many Christians are not, are still celebrating Christmas when it's the very message we got from this is very clear.
It's very clear.
Very clear, right?
And we'll be going through that clarity here with everybody.
So what was the next part we wanted to cover? We were talking about Constantine, so we figured we'd get into like the origins.
Oh yeah, the actual like how we come to the conclusion that it is pagan.
Yes.
Because this is if once we know it's pagan, and just in case somebody doesn't know it's pagan, we'll show evidence that it has pagan roots and it's way older than Jesus being born.
Right. And that brings us to a story that a lot of Christians know. I mean, even people in the world know this story of the Tower of Babel, right? Or Babel, or however you say it.
Yes.
So, I mean, that's a pretty popular story.
Mm-hmm.
And I even, before I started studying this, like when we were really getting into researching this one, I didn't even really realize that all this like ties right back in all of these gods. It actually helped clarify a lot to me, because there's a lot of gods out there and a lot of different beliefs, but everything zeroes back down just to Nimrod and Semiramis and their son Tammuz, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Right.
Yeah.
So did you want to go to that video right away for that, or what?
For the
Nimrod, Semiramis,
Yep.
and
Nimrod, for the Virgin Queen.
And that way we get just a quick explanation. That would be good.
We'll just play a few minutes of it. And if you want to continue watching it later on, you just can look it up yourself and watch it.
Right, and can find the information. But we figured we'd just put it going because this guy explains it pretty well, so you can just watch this.
To understand now, you have to understand the past. You have Nimrod, who was the leader of the people of Babel, and he actually fell in love with a woman named Semiramis. Pagan history teaches that Semiramis was an arch occultist, and she was a very seductive person, and so Nimrod fell for her and ended up marrying her. The problem was that she was a harlot woman, and so what he did is he married her, made her the queen, declared her the Holy Virgin. Now, at this point is where most historians disagree, and the timeline of all this is really fuzzy, is that it contradicts. And the reason it contradicts is because the source of it. And so what I'm going to give you is what generally most people believe about what happened. Basically, what a lot of people believe is that Nimrod died, and Semiramis has to come up with some plan to keep control of the kingdom. And so what she says is, I am now with child immaculately of the reincarnation of Nimrod. And she has a child, and that child's name is Tammuz. And she actually had him on December 25th. And so now you have basically the pagan trinity. You have Nimrod and Semiramis and Tammuz. And Nimrod was declared to be the god of the sun. Semiramis was declared to be goddess of the moon.
That's the Egyptian.
And Tammuz was declared to be the son of the stars.
That's Horus.
As this religion evolved over time, the emphasis was not placed on Nimrod, it was not placed on Tammuz. The emphasis was placed on Semiramis, the woman. And what Semiramis was declared to be and Tammuz was declared to be, and she was declared to be the queen of heaven.
Yeah. And what we got to realize too, like what you were mentioning, we were talking about this earlier, was that this happened before the Tower of Babel and before God spread the languages out.
Right.
So because God confused the languages and because of the rebellion, these names, Nimrod, Semiramis, and Tammuz, got spread all over the world with different names.
Right. And what I'll do is I said I'll bring up on the screen. They'll probably show up right now when I edit this, and it'll show that all the different names. Like for you have these three. You have Nimrod, Semiramis, and Tammuz, and then you can see through all these different cultures and all the different parts of the world. From the Norse to the Middle Eastern to like everywhere, and it's showing all the different names and all these different gods, and they're always the same thing.
Yeah, Isis, it's always that Horus, Osiris.
Osiris, and it's always and it always points Baal, to like this sun
Asherah.
worship thing, right?
Exactly.
Yeah. So once I saw that, it actually was kind of like mind blowing. I was like, oh, okay, that makes sense why there's all these different variations, because everyone who was talking and worshiping with each other there at the Tower of Babel, they all had the same names for everything. They all had the same God that they're worshiping. But then now they all can't talk to each other anymore. They all split up and went their own ways and went around the world and spread everywhere. And then they end up keeping that same story to start with.
Yes.
But you see it change, like the telephone game or whatever, right? Like how it slightly alters. So that's why you have all these, variations on the theme, but it's always the same theme.
Yeah.
Right.
Yes. Yeah. It's always the same sun, moon, star.
Yeah.
Tammuz.
Yeah. And it's a Trinity thing, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. So this was the worship that they were doing, and this is why God was so upset with Israel, because they were doing this, and we're going to get into that a little bit more.
Yeah. And if you want to get into the research of this, we figured we'd kind of just quickly glaze over it.
Yeah.
Because there's a lot of information. Even when I was doing, I've spent hours and hours watching documentaries and stuff. There's lots of information on YouTube, lots of information for Googling. Just look up the pagan origins, because like I said, there's every one of these different variations of these gods.
Yes.
So you can go into every culture and look at what their, history and theology is behind them, right?
And the Catholic Church, the Queen of Heaven for them is the worship of Mary.
Mary,
yes. Like what he said, like the Virgin Mary there, you're showing pictures.
And actually, if you look at, and I'll probably end up bringing an image on the screen for this too, but there's showing images of what they have at the Roman Catholic Church with Mary, and they always have these same sort of symbolisms. And even the baby has its hand up, like the Baphomet thing.
Yeah, with a crown.
With the crown, and that's meaning for like the Nimrod, Tammuz, and Semiramis. It all ties back to that again. And so even when they're the Vatican, they're going and putting this baby Jesus or kissing or whatever, that's actually Tammuz. It's actually a false god thing. So they're hiding it in plain sight.
Yeah, because people don't know the symbols. They don't understand
what
the beginning.
For.
They don't understand what God was so mad about Israel, what they were actually worshiping.
Yeah, actually in Ezekiel 8, we don't have this scripture, but in Ezekiel 8, it talks about how God was showing the abominations of Israel.
Right.
And the women were in the temple weeping for Tammuz.
Yeah.
And that tradition is actually in the Roman Catholic Lent, where you literally give up something for 40 days and you would weep for Tammuz.
Which was one day of his life for his birthday, so 40 days, right?
Right.
So each day was a weeping for the 40 days that he lived before he was killed, right?
Right. And the Roman, going back to Constantine and the Roman Empire, there was Natalis Sol Invictus is what they would celebrate, was this like Saturnalia and whatever, that whole holiday, and that was a big part of the pagans that they celebrated. So that was coming back to, like you said, he had to amalgamate everyone together. So he had to put it under the umbrella of going, well, this is about Christ now, and this is about it's that same thing as like putting a costume on a Baphomet statue, right? It's like what he was doing.
Yes.
And then Christians are like, oh, that's fine now. Yeah. They're totally okay with it, which is crazy to me.
So let's look at Jeremiah 7:18.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, Jeremiah 7:18 says, the children gather wood, and the fathers kindle the fire, and the women knead their dough to make cakes to the Queen of Heaven, to pour out drink offerings unto their gods, so that they may provoke me to anger. You can see that Queen of Heaven there again. That's Semiramis.
Yes. Semiramis. You got it. Yeah.
Nimrod's woman.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. Exactly.
And she was really sneaky about it too.
And they have a pretty crazy story behind that whole thing. That he supposedly died, right? And then they said he was cut into a bunch of pieces, and he's put all over around the world. And then she was able to find all the pieces of him, except for just one piece, and that was his member, right? His male organ.
Yeah.
And he said that's what he was going to tie you into, talking about showing what God opened your eyes to about groves and obelisks, right?
Yeah. Yeah. But it's been this worship of of this symbolism, and it is the worship of the sun and the moon and the stars.
Yeah.
Right.
It's astrology, really.
Yeah, and before that, it was the worship of the Nephilim that were on Earth, right?
Right.
Because that's what they worship. Really, these people is they worship the fallen angels.
Mm-hmm.
That's who they really worship, and all this symbolism is about bringing those fallen angels back to the earth again to get that world that once was back.
Yeah, and actually, some people that like that we've watched say that Nimrod was actually a Nephilim, and like even like the story of like the Epic of Gilgamesh, like that giant guy with the holding that lion as if it was like a little puppy or whatever it was. And so, so it ties in with what you're saying.
Right. Mm-hmm. And they even said, I think they called him a mighty man, right?
Yes.
And that's what the scriptures would use when they talked about the
men of renown.
Men of renown, the mighty men.
The mighty men, the men of renown.
Yeah, they were huge, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just like Goliath, right?
Yeah. Yeah. And then if anybody hasn't researched it already by now, the earth was filled with giants.
Yes.
Of all different sizes.
Yeah, the Nephilim were everywhere,
massive. And all these fables and histories about half goat and half man and all this kind of stuff.
Right, those things were real.
They were real. This came from the Nephilims, right? That were which were in the old world before Noah, right?
And I think the reason that Satan chose to use this Nimrod Semiramis thing is just like his to piggyback on, because what it was Nimrod was doing the same thing he did, which was rebellion and going against God and deifying himself. Right. He wanted to make himself bigger and greater than God. They wanted to go to the height of the heavens with the building, right? And that's why God had to come down. So obviously that's what he stands for, right?
Yes, and actually when it mentions Nimrod in the Bible in Genesis, I think it's chapter 6 there, when it says that he was a mighty hunter before the Lord, it says that word before, actually when you look it up in the original Hebrew, it's like against. So and like the word Nimrod in itself just means like rebellion, to rebel. So it's that kind of
I did hear that
connotation to it. Mm-hmm. So he was against God, right from the beginning,
right.
Mm-hmm.
And so he, like you said, he's representing what Satan did,
right
from the beginning.
And we can see this is important to go back to this origins and roots to show that Satan's been using that as a starting point to make people turn to worship him. And he even took and let that spread into all these different variations. And he doesn't care what sort of face it has on it, or what God's name it has on it, or whatever it looks like, or whether you call it Christmas or not. He sees it as you're still worshiping him. The energy is still going back to him.
Yes.
It's all going back to him. You can pick any one of these gods. He doesn't care. He's like, as long as it's not the true God.
Yes.
I'm happy.
Yeah. If he can take worship away from God, he feels like he's won.
He's won. Yeah.
Yeah. So let's look at the grove then. Is it?
Grove? So now we're gonna go into a little bit of like the actual details of the specific Christmas traditions that we all know, and see where these pagan roots and where they came from.
Right.
Yeah. Christmas is just a new label for something that's very old.
Yeah, it's been celebrated for since Nimrod.
Yeah, and Satan just keeps repackaging it and relabeling it.
Yeah.
And now he's made it into something that people think is a jolly, beautiful time. Right.
And like we're saying, there's a lot of Christians who are watching this right now are probably already going to be saying, well, that's not what it means to me, like I said before, or they say they already know about the pagan origins of it. So if you already know the pagan origins of it and like that, then you can skip this part to the next part. And if you want to just really see the scriptural arguments, go to the last part of it.
Yes.
Because the next one's just going to be about the December 25th thing. But if you want to get to God's word to see the reasoning from that, because we're going to break it down at the end, basically to where we believe it's inexcusable. It's all there in plain, simple, black and white in the scriptures, right?
Yeah.
So you can jump to a part. I think it'll probably be in 3 parts. We'll be doing this video, so in the 3rd part, you can go and see all the scriptures if you want to get into this history stuff, right?
But right now, we feel like if some people don't know the pagan roots, so we feel like we need to at least share a little bit. Yeah. And it's not going to be like too in depth, because like we said, there's so much out there already, and what we really wanted to focus on was why Christians shouldn't do it. But we still feel like we gotta
just show some of the stuff that it's like the roots of it, because they're pretty disturbing actually.
Yeah.
Right?
Yes.
And Before it was called Christmas, right?
Right.
It was Saturnalia.
Saturnalia
worship, right?
Yes, or Yule.
Or Natalis Sol Invictis, which
yes.
is which is worshiping of the sun god, and it always ties back to the sun worship too, right? Like you said,
but because that time of the year is the winter solstice. It's what they feel like it's the death of their son, or it's the birth of their son, because that was the day that the days started getting
longer, right? Yeah, yeah.
And so that's when the sun god was reborn.
Right. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So right back to Tammuz again, right?
Yeah. And if in even our education now and the science that we have can show you that on December 25th is when the day starts to get longer again.
Yes. Yes.
So December 25th has always been about the worship of the sun coming back.
Yes.
Right.
Yeah.
And that's where December 25th really came into play.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah, and it's very important, the 25th is a major day for paganists and Satanists.
Yes, it is.
They all do like huge rituals and human sacrifices and all that stuff. That day is a big deal to them.
Yeah, that's right. That's right.
And that time of year, right, leading up to it, right?
Exactly. Okay, so let's look at a little bit so in the Bible we can see the worship of this situation if we know where to look and what we're looking at.
Yeah, right? And it's explained in there, right?
It's explained in there.
It takes a bit of digging. You got to look a little deeper, right?
Yeah, you got to understand a little bit about what certain things is. So what we're going to look at is grove, right?
Okay.
You'll see that in Kings and Chronicles where they made groves, okay?
Yeah.
The grove was a place. Well, let's read it first. In the King James Bible, grove often refers to a sacred place associated with idol worship, particularly linked to the Canaanite goddess Asherah. It is used to describe locations where images or altars were set up for worship, which were later condemned in Bible texts. And the word images there, when you look it up, it means erected poles.
Yeah, poles, or like a spire or a obelisk, right?
Yeah,
you said,
that's
or
right.
obelisk or obelisk, however you say that.
Yeah.
That's right. That's right. So a grove was just a place where basically there was an aisleway that you went down, and we can show some pictures. I don't know if we're going to do it now.
Yeah, we got some pictures here just showing like examples of what an obelisk is, or like
of what a grove, and we haven't looked at the word obelisk yet, but
and this one here we just figured we'd include it just to show. You can see the shape there of this is the Vatican, right?
Yes.
And it's just showing basically looks like a phallic, like it's shape of like the whole building there, and then even in the middle of the thing it has an obelisk in the middle of that like dial looking thing, the sundial there, and right in the center, which they say always stood for like a man's organ, right?
That's a picture of a grove where you've got the aisleway going down, and then you've got the obelisk at the end with the big circle at the end of it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. And what we also got to realize is like Christmas, and you can probably keep showing those pictures as we talk.
Yeah, like with Christmas with the tree, right?
Oh yeah, like Christmas in as a whole was like a sexual fertility rite. Like it's a ritual for fertility.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
And that's why, because like again with like the trees and all that stuff, that it represents Nimrod's like male part.
Yeah, we keep saying Nimrod's rod.
Yeah, Nimrod's rod.
Because we don't like saying penis. But yeah, it's like it's disturbing. It's all about phallic worship, right?
It's sex worship. Yeah.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. So we'll go back to the images
Witchcraft,
here. Yeah. So this here is just showing another example of you seeing there's the plants all along the side, and at the very end of that long hallway of plants or these trees, you'd have that obelisk, right?
Yep. Yep.
And you just wanted these showing that these have that very similar in the top of the church, like that little point up there.
Yeah.
Now a lot of people they try to debunk this and all this stuff.
And say it doesn't mean that.
That doesn't mean that and all that stuff, right?
Right. So it's up to you to decide whether you think it actually does or not, right?
So this is that was an obelisk that we just saw.
Yeah.
With the cross on top, which is a representative of Tammuz. He always meant Tammuz.
Yes.
The T.
The
T. Yep. That's why you got that ankh, and it's got the circle, and it's got the T in it.
Yeah, the Egyptian version of that, that's where the cross came from, is they had this thing on top. That's where the cross came from too, right?
That's right. That's right. It always represented Tammuz, the T. Yeah.
And that's a whole other story about the cross, whether Christ actually died on a cross or a stake. You can even research that a bit too. But,
yeah.
Okay, we'll go back to the images here. There's another example of a grove.
Yeah, see there, you got the entranceway there.
And we got
there's the obelisks that are in every
different parts of the world. They're just everywhere, and those all stand for a phallic symbol. Right?
Yeah.
There's one is a Washington Monument and everything too.
There's
they
another
put them
one.
everywhere, right?
They put them everywhere. Yeah. No, there's
the
a
Washington.
grove. You rock your one way, and then at the end of the grove, you've got your phallic stick, your symbol there.
Yeah, and then all the plants on the side.
Yeah.
There's another one spire on the top, or whatever, and it's supposed to be for a church, or whatever. But I don't know.
And then a lot of the people say, "Oh, that was for the bell and whatever," but Satan disguises things in plain sight.
Yeah.
Okay.
And if you look at the history of the Roman Catholic Church, like even that's at the Vatican, I believe that is.
Yeah.
That's that same image that I showed, the very first one, that's standing in that big open sundial area there. That they say that, if I remember right, don't quote me on this, but I believe that they hauled that from somewhere, and that is an actual ancient phallic worship pole. So they intentionally brought it there. They didn't build it for that.
Yeah.
They had it shipped over there.
And you got to ask the question: why do they have this symbol that God said in the Old Testament that He wanted it gone?
Right.
He doesn't want to see that on the earth.
Right.
Because that's a worship of false gods.
Yeah,
right?
and we know, like, if you don't have to take our word for it. Go do some research on obelisks and what they actually stood for, and that's literally what they were called, sacred pillars.
Well, we have actually one
well.
Yeah, later on, I think, or maybe we're going to do it right now. Then?
Yeah, we might as well.
Let's just do it right now. Let's go to the obelisk.
We have a little bit of an article here that he found. It's actually just on Facebook, but this person put all the information together. It's worded well. Do you want me to read that, or?
Yeah, could you read it?
Okay.
Yeah.
This is pillar. The pillars the Canaanites erected to worship their gods were actually phallic symbols commemorating the incursion of the demon gods, sons of Elohim, when they had sex with the daughters of men to create the Nephilim, or demigod children, in the pre- and post-flood world. See Genesis 6:2-6. What is the point here? Yahuwah commanded Israel to destroy these pagan symbols and to have nothing to do with them. They were abominations that would defile Yahuwah's set-apart people. The well-known pointed obelisks or sun pillars of Egypt are found in the scriptures in the Hebrew words matzvah and the hamanim. The former word is the best translated as pillars or as sun pillars, and the latter as sun images. In Jeremiah 43:13, this matzvah, sun pillars, are identified as those obelisks found in Beth Shemesh, in Greek Heliopolis, in the land of Egypt. Unfortunately, the King James Bible, the version, rendered this word matzvah in most places as images instead of obelisks or pillars, as the other English versions correctly do. In Exodus 23:24, Israel was commanded to break down these pillars of the heathen nations. He repeated this in Exodus 34:13, Deuteronomy 7:5, and Deuteronomy 12:3, and in many other places in scriptures. These pillars or sun pillars are emphatically described as an abomination by our Mighty One. Israel was not only commanded to break down these pagan pillars or sun pillars, they were strictly commanded not to erect them. Deuteronomy 6:22, Leviticus 26:1, and Deuteronomy 16:22, our Mighty One says that He hates them. However, the Catholic Church has one of this at the center of the Vatican. This can't be more offensive to God.
Okay.
So yeah,
all through the scriptures, this has been being done.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
And God hates it.
Yeah.
Okay. And here we are seeing them all over the world, right in front of you. The largest one actually at the Washington D.C.
Yeah, and then the biggest one I think is even more disturbing than that is the Vatican.
Yeah.
They're supposed to be like, they're the biggest world religion of Christianity right now. They have the most members, right? They're supposed to be representing God, and they actually went out of their way to go get this phallic symbol and put it in the middle, right out front, and people don't even know what it is.
And actually, even like on top of that, it's pretty sad as well, is now people are bringing in this phallic symbol into their house.
Right.
In the form of a Christmas tree.
Right. Yes, exactly. Right. And even if you look at the tree, there's videos and stuff you can look on that too. How the Vatican actually celebrates Christmas, and when they bring the tree out, then there's a guy who breaks down showing the symbolism of what each one of these things actually means.
Yes.
So they're actually very carefully, just like Satan masquerading himself into an angel of light, like it says in Corinthians, right?
Yeah.
He's taken and made everyone think that it's about something good when it actually is not. They're actually doing something else.
Right.
And later we're going to show how that actually means something to God, because Christians are like, well, like I said, it's not what it means to me. So it's like, that's not how you can't think that way.
And stick with this, and when we get to the scriptures, you'll find out what God actually says about all this.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah. We just felt it's important to go through the history to show like where it all came from, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
Like how it all got started, right?
And how old it is.
Yeah, because if it weren't for all of this stuff, like this Nimrod, Tammuz, Semiramis, and all that, we wouldn't have the Christmas that we're celebrating today as Christians.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
The Christians that celebrate, they wouldn't have it.
Because there's no scripture that tells us to celebrate or commandment to celebrate Jesus' birthday.
Yeah, so it came from that, and it wouldn't exist if it weren't for their pagan origins.
Yes.
It just wouldn't. Right?
That's right.
I mean, there might be Christians who would have decided to start celebrating Christ's birth maybe at some point, just speculating, but it wouldn't have the same, like all the everything that surrounds it, Santa and all that, right?
Yes,
right?
That's right.
Yeah.
So we wanted to go into looking did you want to just break down some of the...
Let's just do a couple.
So a little bit on the evergreen tree.
Okay, so what we're going to be bringing up next is we're talking about the origins and stuff, these traditions that we have that are actually around Christmas, right?
Yeah.
So we've got a bunch here. There's evergreen tree and the Santa, Christmas carols, gift giving, Christmas stockings, Yule logs. So we're just going to kind of glaze over a few of those, right?
Yes, yeah.
But you figured it'd be good just to focus on the Christmas tree because that ties in well with what we were talking about, with the obelisks.
Yes.
Right.
And there's specific scriptures that really point out that, hey, we shouldn't be doing this.
Right.
These specific ones. So that's why we'll focus on these ones a little bit more than the rest.
Right.
Right.
Okay, so you want to start off by just describing kind of what the tree is about here? I guess we basically already covered that, right? With it's basically representing Nimrod and Semiramis, right?
Mm-hmm. Yes, it's the obelisk. Right. The Christmas tree is a representation of the obelisk.
Yeah, and it's saying symbolizing Nimrod's resurrection, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah, because apparently like the full-grown evergreen tree came out of a dead stump, and every year on Nimrod's birthday, the spirit of Nimrod puts gifts under there for people. So that's where the mythology of that came from, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so do we want to go out into a scripture then? You said
yes, Jeremiah 10, 1-5.
Okay, we'll fire that up here.
Thus says the Lord, learn not the way of the heathen, and be not dismayed at the signs of heaven, for the heathen are dismayed at them. For the customs of the people are vain. For one cutteth a tree out of the forest, the work of the hands of the workmen with the axe. They deck it with silver and with gold. They fasten it with nails and with hammers, that it move not. They are upright as a palm tree, but speak not. They must not needs be born, because they cannot go. Be not afraid of them, for they cannot do evil, neither also is it in them to do good.
Right. So that's a popular one that it seems to be like debated a lot, right?
Yeah, like when I first heard this, and I went to the pastors with this, okay? And I said, see, right here, look at this, right? And they said, oh, that's not what it means. And if you go to your pastor, teacher, he'll tell you the same thing. Oh, that's not what it means. It doesn't mean a Christmas tree, because Christmas wasn't invented then.
Right. They didn't even have Christmas trees around yet, like doing them like we do now, right?
Right. And they said that what that represents is just somebody cutting a tree down and carving an idol.
Yeah.
And then decorating it with gold and silver and nailing it to the floor.
And it's it's not a statue, so therefore it doesn't tie in at all.
Yeah. So it's not a statue, so no way does it tie in, right?
Right.
But we got to look at the first part of it right there, which is 2, which you have there.
Yeah.
The way it says, thus says the Lord, learn not the way of the heathen, and be not dismayed at the signs of heaven, for the heathen are dismayed at them. So it's saying, don't be like the rest of the world. Don't do don't worship what they're worshiping.
Yeah, that's the point they kind of glaze over, right? He's saying that, the way that everyone is doing everything. So like we look at Christmas and all these pagans and everyone in the world all celebrate it. So if we're doing it too, on the same time of year, we're being like the heathens. We're doing it the same way that everybody else does it.
And even if we don't carve it up into like an actual idol looking statue, it's still basically the spirit of it is the same. We're taking it out of the forest. We're putting decorations on it. We're decking it with gold and silver, and we're kneeling down to it when we're grabbing our presents out of there.
Right.
So in reality, and actually we even hear it all the time. It's like, oh man, the Christmas tree is so beautiful. So people are idolizing this thing.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And another good argument I've heard too is I've heard people who are like Satanists and stuff, like Anton LaVey and other people have in some interviews and stuff to watch. You can do research on this and stuff. And what they said is that if you're like go to a concert, that the person who's doing the concert is doing like a ritual and you're unaware of it, but they're actually doing some sort of satanic ritual and you're just there cheering along and it's not what you think it means, but you're there for it, you are giving the energy to it and you're still part of the ritual. Whether you're aware of it or not is irrelevant. And Satan sees it the same way too. So like all the stuff that he's masqueraded and he's covered it and made it look like it's something else. For us to go, well, it's not what it means to me. It means Christ, and it's about celebrating Satan doesn't care about that, and these Satanists all point that out, and they laugh about it. They think we're jokes to them. They're like, haha, these people are totally doing all of our pagan stuff, and they have no clue, right? Yes. So we need to realize that it's not how we perceive it to be. It's how God and the spirit realm world, sees it.
And
right?
Yeah, and imagine this, is that when we gather together as Christians, we know that when we gather together, the power of Christ enters into us in our prayers and it's sent out, right?
Right.
So it increases when we gather together.
Yeah,
right?
So you're creating like a huge amount. If everyone all at this time you're all combining the energy together, it's just amplifying it, and Satan's tapping into it.
And imagine when the Christians are doing it too.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. They're asking God also to go along with it.
Right.
Yeah. Right.
So you're giving a huge, massive amounts of spiritual energy for Satan to tap in at this time of year where all these pagans are just sucking out of it, right? Like,
yeah, that's right. And all throughout scriptures, like we have a few scriptures here that we won't read, but like 1 Kings 14:23, 2 Kings 16:4, Isaiah 57:5, Jeremiah 3:6. It talks about how like when people worship under every green tree and every high hill, that was the place of worship for these pagan things. And God says, don't do those things.
Don't do that. Yeah,
that's not the way I want you to worship me.
Right. Mm-hmm. Right.
And we got that one scripture of 2 Kings.
I was going to point out just at the one little part that jumped out in here too.
Yes.
This is, be not dismayed at the signs of heaven, for the heathen are dismayed at them. What he's referencing there is talking about they would look to the heavens and they would be worried that the sun was going further away and the days are getting colder and they're all going to die or whatever. And that's what they were thinking, is they had to appease the sun god and everything like that for him to come back.
Yes. Right.
And that was like, so that's actually what it's describing there, is as part of that Tammuz and that belief system. They're going, oh no, we're going to lose our son and we're all going to die. We have to and then they would do all kinds of messed up stuff to be able to try to keep the gods happy. Child sacrifice and the Yule log. That's what that was. During Yule, they would make these big fires and they would burn this giant log, but they would throw animals in there and then they would also burn humans.
Yes.
Right?
Yes. And that's Moloch, and we'll get into that a
that's
little bit later.
Too, right? Yeah, it's a deep rabbit hole. There's a lot of messed up stuff.
So all the scriptures, if you understand what they were worshiping and how they were worshiping it, it's the same pagan worship all the way through.
Yeah.
And if we recognize it and we know it, Christians are not supposed to partake in anything of that sort.
Right. So you said you wanted to go to the next scripture there, Gino? Which one was that?
Yeah, that wants to bring it up. Second Kings.
17:16, I think it is. And they left all the commandments of the Lord their God and made themselves molten images, even 2 calves, and made a grove and worshipped at the host of heaven and served Baal.
Right.
Okay.
There's that grove thing again, right?
There's the grove, and they cast off the commandments of God. Right. What was the commandment of God?
He said, not the way of the heathen.
Yeah.
Do not the way of the heathen. Don't worship images. Don't worship in the grove.
Right.
And the grove was something that you set up to worship an idol.
Right. Yeah, and before you told me that, I didn't realize, like, when I heard the word grove, I just was like, oh, a grove. It's like a nice little garden place or something. Like, I didn't even know that a grove was actually this long thing leading to a worship false idol thing at the end. I had no idea that's what that actually stood for. You said that God gave you that revelation, right?
That's right. Yeah. And I didn't know it either till God said, well, have you ever examined what a grove is? And I started doing research on it, and I found out that at the end of the grove was where they resurrected a pole, which is
the phallic thing.
The phallic symbol,
Nimrod, right?
And that's where we get our obelisks from.
Right.
So it came from worshiping in the grove and worshiping on every high hill and under every green tree.
Right.
And they worship Baal.
Yeah. And they always have that shape to it too, that pointy shape like that. The in the pyramid, it's like a pyramid sort of type of shape too. Even on the top of those obelisks, they always have that pyramid sort of shape on the top. And a Christmas tree is
Yes, that's right.
The same shape too. So
yeah, and it's they worship the evergreen tree because it's always green, even in like the midst of winter, right?
Right, because it stood for like, well, it survives, like it just keeps living.
And it's fertility, right?
Fertility, right? Yeah, life.
Life. That's what it represents.
Right. Yeah, that reminds you of that the clip we were watching earlier about some Satanists are talking about it. They're saying that that's what it stands for, is like vitality and life. Should I just play that clip now?
Sure.
Yeah, I might as well just play that.
Pagans, who are called Wiccans and witches today, still celebrate Yule and still worship the deities Odin, Thor, and those of the pagan pantheon, such as the stag deity himself, who is the horned one.
Let's remember that although this is our time of year, a lot of people refer to this time of year as Christmas. That there's an awful lot of folks out here who think that Christmas is the original holiday at this time of year, and we kind of gently, I know Frank and I kind of gently nudge our Christian friends and say, just remember, you got all this stuff from us, because we started this. The tradition of Santa actually comes from the tradition of the Oak King and the Holly King. And Santa is actually the Holly King, who dies at this time of year and gives way to the Oak King to bring back the springtime, because the Oak King reigns during the spring and summer, and the Holly King reigns during the fall and winter. And so Santa's ride is kind of his passing the hat off to the Oak King for the spring and summer. So there are a lot of our traditions are incorporated. This is a very pagan holiday because it is. Also, the Christmas tree, our Christmas tree, or our Yule tree as we refer to it, is a very pagan holiday, and what you're doing is bringing in the greenery into your house so that you're bringing in life and vitality and all that the evergreens represent.
Well, growing up, I grew up with my parents who are not pagan, but we did the whole Christmas tree, so it kind of flowed very nicely into what I do now for the most part.
Yeah. So you can see how those witches, they were like laughing at Christians, basically like, you stole this from us.
Yeah, and I figured I'd include that now because it tied into what we were saying about the vitality and the life, and that she was talking about the tree, and that's what made me think of that. But yeah, like we're a joke to them.
Yeah,
like,
that's right.
We're Christians that celebrate it. I mean, that is right.
Yeah. And what was really shocking to me was she has Christian friends.
Yeah.
that associate with her, and
I found another part that was crazy there too, is that she says, I was raised, like basically saying she was raised with Christian values, but her family did that already, so it made it an easy transition for her to get into paganism.
Yes.
So that should kind of disturb anyone who's a true Christian too, going like, it's like, it wasn't even hard for her to go over and being a pagan because she's already had experience with it.
Mm-hmm.
Like that shouldn't be something a Christian should be able to say, you know?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah, so that's pretty disturbing.
It is.
Yeah, so what do we want to go on to next then?
Santa now, I guess.
We're covering Santa.
Yeah, Santa.
Okay. Yeah, there's a lot going on with Santa. They're saying like the imagery that's behind it. Like I know they're talking about with the reason he has the red clothes and all that sort of stuff, right?
Yes, he's mentioned in the Bible.
We shouldn't get into too much because it could go on for a long time. So we should just kind of brief through it a bit.
But I know they're saying that the reason he had the red pants and like that's because they had the statue of Moloch, and they would have fires going inside of it, and then they would heat up the iron or whatever it was made out of until it was red hot.
Yes.
And they would bring their children and they would just put them on the lap of Moloch and would sacrifice their children that way, right?
Yes.
That's right.
Which is just disturbing. I had no idea that that's actually where that came from, right?
Yeah, and that's why Santa's clothes are red. And
lap.
You probably noticed that like every time we put like a child on the lap of Satan or Santa of Santa.
Nice Freudian slip there. Yeah.
When we put it on the lap of Santa, like they scream. Like all kids hate it because they can feel the spirit that's like emanating out of that practice.
They're aware of it on a deep level of what's actually going on there, right?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And just wanted to mention one more thing about Santa is that if you go through the Santa, first of all, he knows everything, so he's posing as God, right? Mm-hmm. He's got a book. He's writing in the book who's naughty and nice. Right. So again, you got the book of life and not the book of life, right?
Right.
So again, Santa is playing the part of God.
Yeah, and he can be everywhere all at once, which is like omnipresent, which is what Christ is. So he's showing that he has supernatural abilities, right?
That's right.
So it's the same with Christ, right? Yeah. So it's showing the parallels. It's like Satan created his own variation, but it's meant to be the mirror image of like the opposite of Christ, right?
And if you just take the word Santa change 2 letters around, you get
Satan. That's how I slipped up.
That's what just happened, right?
You get Satan, right?
Satan, Santa, coincidence? I think not. I don't know.
Yeah. And not only that, we lie to our children.
Yes.
We lie about it. Why? Why are we convinced we have to lie to our children?
Right.
Yeah.
Unless Satan is behind it.
Right. And if any Christians are doing that, I really hope they're not. But if you are like letting them actually even believe in Santa and then lying to them, then the scriptures are very clear on that. They said no liar will like inherit the kingdom.
Yeah,
right?
I actually had like people that I went to school with, like they were like, we were already in middle school at this time, and she still defended Santa because her parents told her that it was real. And she like defended it. Like she was like freaking out when we were like, no, Santa's not real.
Yeah, just couldn't handle it, right?
Yeah, she couldn't handle it.
Yeah, that sort of deception and stuff. I don't know. That's messed up. Like in anything else in your life, could you imagine lying to your kids about something that big?
Yeah.
Right? But for some reason with that, it's like, oh, it's okay. It's just the thing and whatever.
Yeah.
And
it's like
Santa.
the tooth fairy and all those other things that they put in there to lie to your children about.
Right.
You know, when the children finally grow up and realize you're telling lies.
And then the one person you saw to be your source so that you could trust that you was your parents and that you could go to, that you thought everything they said was true, they've been lying to you the whole time.
Yeah, I can imagine like when that girl actually finds out like the truth.
Right.
Like, man, like because she was literally defending it. She was about to cry when we were saying this to her.
Really?
And it was just like, we're already in like what was it, grade 8? We were like,
wow.
Yeah,
that's a holy man. That's a long time to hold on to that. The delusion, right?
Yeah.
Showing how the delusion can really affect people, right?
Yeah.
That's scary.
Yeah. So you can see Satan's doing a good job at getting everybody to lie to their children.
Yeah.
And so the children doesn't trust them. So the state can now come in, move in, and so on and so forth.
Right.
Like,
and I was thinking, we were talking about the tree there, and this guy just mentioned this, made me think of this one clip here. I might as well just play that now.
Mm-hmm.
But this is an ex-Satanist. I'll bring it up here on YouTube. And so it's an ex-Satanist, and he's talking about his the origins of Christmas and why he doesn't celebrate it. So I figure it's important if it's a Satanist saying this, and maybe we should listen to him.
Well, he was an ex-Satanist.
Ex-Satanist, right?
He found the truth.
He found God, yeah.
Believe me, 33 years of witchcraft, I ain't gonna lie. I used to kill people. I used to destroy people, turn them crazy. I did a lot of things. If you see me doing stuff that I used to do, people were scaring me. Regular people would be scaring me because we used to sacrifice every day, almost either a goat or a couple roosters, and people don't realize is that when you put your kid with Santa and stuff like that, you're actually doing a sacrifice.
Yeah. So that was one clip that made me think of that when you said you're putting it with Santa, you're doing a sacrifice. So people are like, well, that's not what it means. To just put it on his lap or whatever. It's like, again, that's that point is that it doesn't matter what you think that it is.
Yes.
It's what it's intended to be. By you bringing them there knowingly or unknowingly, you're giving power to that.
Yes.
So feigning ignorance is not an excuse for it. And that's not how the spirit realm or how God sees it. He's not going to go, oh, it's okay. You didn't really mean it.
Yes.
Right?
But, and a lot of people are saying, well, I don't do that with Santa. I don't even really put up a tree. We just give gifts,
right.
here and there and stuff like that, right?
Right.
And so they say, well, I'm not really doing all of these things, right?
Right.
And they say, so I guess we can do it, right?
Yeah, it's just about Christ. And I make it, and then they say it's only about Christ this time of year, and that's it, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
But,
yeah. We'll deal with that later.
Yeah, we'll be covering that later.
Yeah, but right now, like with Santa, like all throughout scriptures, like the other name for Santa and another name for Nimrod was Moloch. Right. And all throughout scriptures, like we have like a bunch there. And
actually Baal too as well.
Baal, yeah.
Yeah, Baal is actually came from Nimrod, and it just means Lord, and that's what they called him.
Yeah,
right?
but the specific practice with Moloch, passing through the fires of Moloch,
right?
Like we read all throughout scriptures that God hates it. It's an abomination to him. Right. He says this kind of thing has never even like come up into my mind.
Yeah. So was that Jeremiah?
That's Jeremiah 32.
This Jeremiah 32, 34, and 35 says, but they set their abominations in the house, which is called by my name, to defile it. And they built the high places of Baal, which are in the valley of the sons of Hinnom, to cause their sons and their daughters to pass through the fire unto Molech, which I commanded them not. Neither it came into my mind that they should do this abomination, to cause Yehudah to sin. in Judah.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's
So
scary, man.
They're passing their children onto Moloch,
Right.
the fires of Moloch,
Right.
and that's what we symbolize when we put children on the lap of Santa.
Right.
And lie to them about him.
Right.
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah. So that comes back again, saying like people are like, oh, I don't put my kid, I don't sacrifice them. It's like, yeah, but that doesn't matter. Again, it's what it actually stands for
and what it represents.
Yeah. And yeah, Satanists said it doesn't matter whether you're aware of it or not. If you do it, and they intended it for that purpose, you're giving power to it.
Yeah.
Period.
Yeah, and if you want to do some more research on Moloch and passing through the fires, there's Leviticus 18:21, Leviticus 22:5, and 1 Kings 11:7, and 2 Kings 23 verse 10.
Right. Those are all good ones. There's a lot of
there's even more like the stars of Chion and all that stuff. It's all the same thing, and it's all in the scriptures, and it's all negative.
Mm-hmm. All tracing back to Nimrod. Yeah, it's pretty eye-opening when I found that out, that it's all the same thing. It's just all variations on a theme, right?
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Mm-hmm.
So we were going to just kind of skim over the Christmas carols and gift giving. You can look those up for yourself if you want, right?
Yes.
And the same with the Christmas stockings. I mentioned a bit about the Yule log, whereas they would burn it to try appease their gods and stuff and bring the sun back and whatever, and they would sacrifice people, right?
And then the fruit cake was like the baking cakes for the Queen of Heaven, and all that, and decking the halls with holly. All of this mistletoe, all of these have really like actually just disgusting roots,
right?
And it all goes back to Nimrod and Semiramis. And there's plenty of stuff online that you can research.
Yeah, and if you send us an email, we'll send you a copy of what we have here of the information that we have.
This little document that he's made up, and we can actually send you like a PDF or a text file if you want to. Showing each of these separate things of how what they actually stand for.
Yeah. If you email us, we'll send you a copy of that.
Okay. Yeah, you can just go to the trumpetsvoice.com website there and just go to contact us.
Yes.
And so I guess that covers all of those pieces. We got deck the halls with holly as well. With the boughs of holly, and then mistletoe as well. They have different meanings and stuff. And even mistletoe has like the plant itself had like fertility things, and they said it's actually like a viral, like a parasitic plant that actually grows up and doesn't even grow on the ground and attacks trees. And then when you crush up the berries, it actually simulates semen.
Yes.
So they had that's why they had it as a fertility thing. So there's a lot of messed up background to all this stuff.
Yeah,
right?
and so when you look at each symbol that they use for Christmas, right, and you start looking into each symbol and how it's being used and what it represented, you will find that every single symbol that you are doing in Christmas comes from pagan roots. Yes. Every one of them.
Yeah.
Right. Did you want to show the video clips of the Krampus?
Okay. Yeah, we'll bring that up too.
Yeah.
I'll finish off here with this ex-Satanist actually.
Yeah. Okay.
I'll just play the second part of it here.
All right.
Like that. I mean, if you want to celebrate it, go ahead. Want to be with demons, go ahead, But I really don't believe the Christians should celebrate Christmas. It's very satanic, it's very evil. The tree represents an idol, and they used to burn a log so that it would, get rid of the evil spirits. Evil spirits. That's why they used to put a big log in the fireplace, so that actually that day it's actually to get rid of, evil spirits, just like Halloween when they put in Halloween they put the pumpkin in the door. That's to scare evil spirits.
That was a little part of that, and then I had just one more little clip from the same guy. You can go watch his interview and stuff. He explains a lot more. He did a lot of messed up stuff, and he actually was responsible for ending people's lives and stuff, and he made people go crazy doing just as simple as getting powder and wishing evil onto it and putting it in a guy's steps, and he stepped on it, and the guy just ended up losing his mind, and he'd get people killed. So if it's coming from this guy warning, I think a Christian should probably listen, right?
Yeah.
So this is one more little clip here I have.
And if you're celebrating Christmas, I'll be honest with you, I don't think God is going to be approve of that. And if you know the truth like now, and you listen to this video and you keep doing it, it's up to you with God, because when you, every time I think of when you're in front of God, why are you going to tell him? What are you going to tell him? Oh, no. Oh, I just, I knew, but I just did it anyway because I don't worship demons. Yeah, but you're still celebrating a religion that is not something about a religion that is not yours. It's a pagan religion.
Oh yeah. Anyways, I think that's pretty eye-opening if it's coming from someone who is in that world, right?
Yes.
And that's what it means to him, right? And then you also wanted to go show a little video here about Krampus, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Here, I'll bring that up as well.
Yeah, that's
messed up.
Yeah, that's just
messed up, right? But this is their Christmas.
Yeah. Anyways, I guess you get the point from that. But there's another little clip here we had on the internet as well that ties in with that one. That's actually Krampus. So we're just talking about there, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Everyone is.
And you heard the bells, right? Okay. Mm-hmm. That's where the word jingle bells actually come from.
That's right. Yes. Yeah. It
from
did.
The Krampus bells.
Yeah, and the Krampus was basically a demon, and there's and there came like the elves that kind of tied into that as well, and there's like this thing that would go with Saint Nick or Nikolaus or whatever, and they would travel with him. And the same with Odin and his those stories, variations of that too, was like these ones would come with him, and whenever they would travel with him, those were like his minions or the evil demons or whatever, and they would have bells on them, right?
That's right.
That's right. And that was the jingle bells you'd hear. If you heard those coming, you were like, it was not a good sound. It was like, oh, I hear the bells are coming. Like, what's going to happen, right?
Yeah.
So I got another quick little clip here too, just kind of expanding on that a little bit more about the Krampus thing, right?
Yeah.
With branches for being naughty. Many showed the goat man in formal dress and a tuxedo-style cutaway formal coat and trousers, but with his usual horned goat face and always with his tongue extended. Now this tongue out pose seems to be popular with ancient gods, whether they're Mayan, Hindu, Babylonian, Egyptian, Greek, or even British. For some reason, the coat of arms from the Prince of Wales supports both a lion and a unicorn with their tongues extended. More than likely, this tongue position represents sex magic, fornicating with fallen angels.
Pretty messed up.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's showing that's just one, like, and we could go through like all these different examples of it just goes deeper and deeper, and there's just some really dark, messed up stuff that are all rooted into this, right?
And you can see, is this what you want your children to be worshiping?
Right.
Is this what you want your children to be glorifying?
Yes.
Right. Or even participating in directly or indirectly.
Yeah, just like that Satanist says, it doesn't matter if you're not partaking in those specific details. You're still participating in the energy of it.
Right. And if that's why I included that clip, because I figure if it's a person who was in that world and actually did all that stuff, he would know what it takes to be able to achieve the evil that he wanted to, and how Satan works and stuff, right?
Yes.
So if that guy is saying, no, you're still been taking part in it, whether you're like, call it this or that, it doesn't matter, it's irrelevant. I think you should listen to that, right?
Yes.
I think that's a huge major like red flag, if right? Yeah, I don't think I'd be trying to justify it, right? And dance that fine line, right?
Yes.
So we have a lot of things that Christmas stands for that have nothing to do with Christ at all, but have the absolute opposite.
Right.
And if you want to take the chance,
yes,
and think that for your own fleshly desires you want to feel good,
right?
Okay, and take that chance, then on Judgment Day,
yeah,
you're going to find out exactly who you were worshiping, and you were not worshiping Christ. And it doesn't matter how much you think in your heart or how much you feel like you're worshiping Christ.
Right.
That is not worshiping Christ. That is worshiping an ancient religion.
Right. And I think that's a point that I had mentioned before, saying, if you really sit there and ask yourself this question and really look at yourself and go, well, wait a minute, if the scriptures don't say that, they don't command us to celebrate it, and we know that there are pagan origins and stuff tied to it, there's many Christian scholars, they'll all agree that it totally has pagan origins. They won't even debate about that anymore.
Yes.
Everyone makes all these over other arguments, like we say that it's like, well, it's not what it means to me. So if you know that all of that, don't you think that it would be wiser just to play on the side of caution and just go, maybe just in case this is bad, let's not do this, so that when we stand before the judgment, you're not caught off guard. Because if one thing's for sure is, if there's Christians out there who are celebrating Christmas, and then I'm standing there before the judgment, we're right beside each other, I am not going to have to worry at all about this. because I don't celebrate it. And I know that God won't be mad at me because I'm not celebrating the Christ's birth or anything like that, right? Because it doesn't tell us to in the scriptures.
Yes.
So I know as far as God is upset about it, he's just going to go, you're fine. I know that you decided not to because of the pagan stuff, and it's going to be counted as righteousness towards me. He's not going to get mad at me for it. Whereas if the Christian who is celebrating it, and then they find out that it's wrong, you can't back out of it. You've already done it, and God's going to judge you for it, right? So it's better to play on the side of caution and just forego it and go, you know what? Do I really need to dance that fine line and go right to the edge of the fence, or put your toe towards the landmine and just keep going like this and seeing how close you can get to it?
Yeah.
I don't know. That's just my reasoning anyways.
Yeah.
Well, we have a problem of self-worship here, right? Because if you really love God, and you know this has nothing to do with him, which we're going to get more into the details of it, right? And you say, well, it feels good, and I want, my kids love it, and I love it, and I want to be along with the rest of the world, right? Okay.
Yeah. Then I just want to celebrate Christ. It's just about Christ.
Then it's all about self-worship.
Yeah.
And that was one of the things when you read where it says that he says, many will come before me, and he'll say, I do not know you. Okay? There's the key. I do not know you, right? Why does he not know you? Because you're not really worshiping him. You're worshiping yourself.
Yeah.
That's why.
And that should be a sobering scripture for us to make us realize, because the ones that he's saying it to are ones that thought they were serving him right.
Yes.
He's not saying this to ones who were out and out Satanists who are evil, who know that they're against him.
They were calling him Lord, right?
Yeah.
Master.
Yeah, these are the ones who are going, hey, didn't we? They're like caught off guard and surprised.
Yeah.
That's totally going to be people that have celebrated Christmas, who didn't look into this stuff, didn't see what the scriptures had to say, and they're going to stand there and they're going to go, but I thought I was, but he'll go, I don't know you. You're doing exactly what I told you not to do in my word, but you didn't look and use it. Like I said, ignorance won't be an excuse.
Yes.
And here's the good news. The good news is you can see I was one of those.
Yep.
Yeah.
But I have repented.
Right.
And I no longer do it. My family no longer does it. And we convince others of the truth so that they won't do it and they won't lose their salvation over it. Right. And that's true repentance.
And you can still give gifts to your family. And you can still give gifts to people anytime. And what's even better about that, just doing it whenever, is the person doesn't expect it. They don't even know they're going to get it. When you get a present at Christmas time, there's so much disappointment that's tied to that time of the year too, right? And they can't get that toy, and they think Santa hates them because their parents can't afford to buy it for them. Or they get the present, they get something that's not exactly what they wanted, and they were hoping for like this, PlayStation 5 or something. Right. So then there's all this disappointment that goes along with it. There's a lot of like negative stuff that you're avoiding as well. Right.
It has nothing to do with the Spirit of Christ. Nothing. Nothing.
Right.
It's consumerism at its peak.
Yeah.
Right.
Yes.
And it's idolatry.
And self-worship, like you said, going all the way back to Nimrod. That's what he wanted to do, is like challenge God, and he wanted to deify himself. He wanted to take the place of God.
That's right.
Yes.
And it's also covetousness. Right.
Yeah.
Oh, I want this.
I want that. I want this. I want that.
It's covetousness. It's
worshiping other gods before.
Worshiping other gods before our God.
Putting idols.
Putting idols in your home.
Like it's like you can tick off pretty much every commandment.
Box. Yeah, he says not to do, right?
Yeah. And they're doing it. I was doing it, right?
Right.
But thank God, God showed me the truth and gave his true spirit in me to be able to rebuke such things.
Right.
So that I can stand before him one day and say,
with a clean conscience.
You told me not to do it, Lord. I seen the truth and I no longer do it.
I changed,
I changed because of you, and I only worship you.
Right.
And if we all just do that, things are going to be a lot better for all of us.
Yeah.
Because the consumers, or the corporations, if you do your homework on them too, is that you look at all the logos of the corporations, they come from satanic symbols.
Yeah.
PlayStation and Plague and Google and all of them, they all come from satanic symbolism.
Yeah, and during the Christmas season, this is when the corporations make the majority of the profits for the year. Right. Is this time of the year, and this is what we're supporting.
Point,
And I know that because I had my own business, and I know that I made 50% of my margins at Christmas time.
Yeah,
because people were in the spirit of covetousness and the spirit of buying and everything.
Right.
And what do these corporations do with their money? Look into it. You give them your money. What do they do with it?
Yeah.
Right? And did they do good with it?
And it says the whole world is lying in the power of the wicked one. Satan owns this world, and one of his biggest tools that he uses is money, bribery, and all that. He controls through money and through riches and making like shining gold things, and right?
Yeah, could you imagine?
Uses money for that.
Could you imagine if all the Christians in the world that called themselves Christians, I mean, what's that, 1 billion, 2 billion or whatever, right?
Just
said all
buying.
one day, said, we're never going to celebrate this day again. The whole system would collapse instantly.
Right. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And we could start over in God's kingdom.
Yeah. And then we'd call the shots on.
And we would call the shots.
Rebuild it the way it's supposed to be rather than letting Satan run everything. Right?
That's what would happen if all of us just one day just said no.
Well, and if you would do your research and look into all these big mega corporations and stuff, and the biggest, most rich men in the world, the very top, you don't get rich for no reason. It's Satan's world. If you want to become a billionaire, trillionaire, all this sort of stuff, you have to do evil things to get there. Just like Hollywood, you have to do sacrifice. If you want to get famous in Hollywood, you have to kill someone you love. That's how you get in. Mm-hmm. You have to sacrifice someone you love, like murder them or whatever. And that's how you earn. And that's how Satan works in the satanic world. It's always sacrifice. You have to give up something that you care about. Then Satan will help you, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
It's totally, so all the big corporations and stuff, that's at the very, very top. It's all satanic. They're all Satan worshipers. They all meet in those robes and stuff. You think it's crazy, but that's totally how they do.
Happens. Yeah,
that's
happens.
actually what they do, right?
And then, and what do we Christians do? We give them all of our money.
Yeah, we fund our own demise, right?
For covetousness.
Yeah.
And Christmas is the most obvious one, okay?
Yeah.
But if you took Christmas and dove into all of these things like the grove and the obelisk and all these symbolism things, that maybe the Christians would open their eyes and actually see who they're worshiping.
Right.
And what they're worshiping.
Right.
Right? Because most of them are not worshiping Christ.
Right.
They're worshiping themselves.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? And consumerism and idolatry and all those things, right? And they're going to be surprised on Judgment Day. That's why we're saying these things.
Yeah.
Because God gave me grace to come out, and He showed it to me and my family.
Yeah, and I was lucky
I'm hoping
enough
that for other people.
I was lucky enough, at least in my denomination, where we never actually did it. So I grew up never having to celebrate it. So I don't even feel like I'm missing out on anything at all because I never did it in the first place. But so I was lucky in that regard.
Like we always say that there's in every denomination there is a lot of truth.
Yeah.
In every denomination, right? But there's that 10% of poison,
right,
that they add into the denomination to delusionalize people,
right,
right, and that 10% is enough to stop you from being with Christ,
right. And we were even mentioning that before we were recording about trying to pick certain video clips and things to use. We're saying, can we show this video because the person that has the information they've given here is accurate, but they have all the other information that or the doctrines that they believe, and they're not actually in line with Scripture. So we're going, well, if we share that, then are we also like condoning or supporting what it is that they, right? Mm-hmm. So it takes discernment, right? You got to really look into all this stuff, right?
Mm-hmm. Yes. And that's the reason why the believers are fooled and tricked, and they go by their emotions and their feelings and what they want to believe, but they don't read the Bible, they don't study it, they don't do any research. They're lazy Christians, and they just sit in the pew on Sunday, get some little dribble from them that they want to show them, and teach them. Like I said, the pastors teach you that Jeremiah 10 is not about a Christmas tree. It's not about idolatry. It's not about. They try to shove it off into the corner,
right,
and say, "See, all these people, they're saying this. They're wrong. You see."
Mm-hmm. But
they're lying to you. It is idolatry.
Right.
It is the worship of a phallic symbol in your house.
Right.
You're decorating it. You're standing back and looking up the beautiful lights, and
you're bowing down to
adoring it.
You're bowing down to it. You're adoring it. Oh, this is a beautiful thing. You're worshiping.
And that's where the word idolize came from, right? You're idolizing it. You're turning it into an idol, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I know because we did all that stuff.
Yeah, you were there. Right?
We were there.
I saw your nice little hats there. Those were. It was funny as we pointed out too in those hats that it had in the photos that you had.
Yeah,
they actually had on the hats had stars across. You said they lit up with little lights.
That's right.
They're actually pentagram.
Yes,
that's right.
There's 5-pointed star on the Christmas hat.
And the pentagram is actually, no matter whether you turn it upways or downways, it's actually Baphomet.
Yeah,
Baphomet,
and you actually saw that in that video with those pagan witches sitting around that table. They had that big star behind them.
Yeah,
it's this Wiccan star.
Yeah, Wiccan, which is like a witch thing. Witchcraft.
And you know, when you're driving around, like I'm driving around, and I see lots of houses with these stars in their windows and in their doors and all over the place. Not even at Christmas time, but all the time.
Right.
And they don't even know. They think that's the Star of Bethlehem, or that's the Star of Jesus, or whatever, right? They have no idea that they've got a Star of Remphan right on their door.
Yeah, Remphan. Look up the Remphan, Remphan. Look up that star, and you'll see that there's a certain group of people on this planet right now that are using that as well. But it's actually a Chian star, or the
Star of Remphan.
Remphan, yeah, and that goes back again to Nimrod and stuff as well, and sun worship and all that stuff.
Yeah.
Tammuz and Baal
and so if I can wake up, Adam can wake up, my family can wake up. You can wake up.
Yeah, you can do it too. Yeah. And so that we're going to be, this part here we've covered. That's just the origins and basically our personal history of it. And the next part we're going to be covering is the December 25th ring, right? Just showing, because people say about Jesus' birth. So we're going to just basically show definitively that it can't possibly be that date that it happened. Yeah. And also we're going to be showing a little bit of history and stuff on it too, about like why that date was chosen. And it ties in with Roman Catholic Church. It ties in with Constantine and all that sort of stuff too, right? So that'll be in the second part coming up here. So,
but remember, we do encourage everyone to do your own studies.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, definitely do. And we'll try include some links and stuff in there of some of the stuff we've done. But just go and you can use YouTube, you can use Google, and you can just
it's everywhere. This information
is everywhere. Yeah, and it's all backs it up. I've watched I don't know how many documentaries doing the research for this video.
Yeah.
And it's always the same message. So they all agree with each other. All the scholars, all the evidence is there throughout history. So there's no question whatsoever that it's got pagan origins, right?
Yeah, and like we read there that it actually started way before Nimrod. It actually started in the old world, and it was carried through into the new world.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Yes.
Which is basically just about rebellion.
And this new world order thing. It's not that they don't want a new world. They want the old world.
Yes.
They want the old world before Noah to come back, which is the Nephilim world.
Yeah.
Of the fallen angel and all that stuff and the technology.
Everyone then was, all worshiping the demons and Satan and everything like crazy, right?
Yeah, that's what they want. They want the old world, not the new world. They want the old world to come back.
Right.
And that's what they're pushing for.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, I think we pretty much hammered that one down pretty good. We've covered all the origins and stuff, and it was as much as we felt like we could. So you can see how this took this long as it is anyways. We could have went down the rabbit hole with every one of those things. We would have been here for an eternity. But anyways, that's it. We're going to be covering for the first part. So then the next part, we'll get into December 25th, and then part 3 about scriptures. So if you want to just stay tuned for that and just go check them out. And we're going to have them up on Brighteon, YouTube, Rumble, Odyssey, and also on Vimeo and on our website, trumpetsvoice.com. So I want to thank you for joining us for part 1 here, and hopefully we'll see you in part 2. And God bless.